Go. Yes, people. I'm back again. Now, you don't typically see me on Zoom and things like that. I thought with it being the coronavirus, I'd give it a try. And I've got a special guest, not only a special guest, a big friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who we met on the circuit, really. And he's a genuine guy. And I just wanted to, plug his brains for just how he feels about Arsenal, his potential highs and lows, what he feels of Emery and Arteta, potentially how he feels moving on. So yeah, man, let the people know who you are, bro.
Yeah, my name's Roche. So I'm a writer for Football.London. So if you know James Benj, he's like the senior writer, and then I'm the more junior guy because I only started in like October. But yeah, I mean, I think we first met at the BComs event or something like that.
One of them things there, yeah.
Yeah,
Your man or something.
that was when we first met in person. But I remember the first time I saw one of your videos actually was when we lost to West Brom.
I swear. What year was that?
Yeah, in 2017. Do you remember when the airplane?
Oh yeah, the bad one, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first video I saw of yours actually.
That's weird, man. You picked now to tell me that. How did you come across that? I never knew that.
I don't know. I actually don't even know. I can't remember. I just remember that was the first time I remember seeing one of your videos. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's being a bit too humble, man. He does all the Q&As half the time on Twitter. You can see him at the Emirates. I always see him at the media entrance. He's made it, man, my people. But yeah, man, let's get into it. First and foremost, how are you feeling? How's your family in relation to, what's going on with this corona business?
Yeah, personally, I'm fine. So that's good. At the moment, we're all fine, I'd say. But my brother has just had to go out to work, which has been a bit stressful. So hopefully he gets back all right. But yeah, other than that, it's been fine-ish, I guess. As fine as it can be at the moment.
Of course.
Yeah. Hopefully the same with you guys.
Yeah, man, we're all good, man. Health is wealth. Can't complain. Praying that we all get over this. Anyways, speaking of it, obviously you're a journalist. You're always at the Arsenal games. You travel all up and down the country. I know the obvious how it affects you, but for people who don't, or people that might not see all the sides of your role, how truly has it affected you with your role, like this corona stuff?
Well, I'd say the obvious effect that people see is that obviously we're not going to matches anymore, press conferences. So that's going to take some adjusting to, I'd say. A lot of those just being at games is what provides the content really for you as well.
Like, oh yeah, it's a real hard one. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I fully feel you on that.
For us, for us, player ratings and stuff like that does quite well. So you don't have that, but player ratings is something that I'm only just getting used to anyway, properly. So I'm not that I'm happy about the break, but it gives me an opportunity to do some other stuff that I didn't have time to do really when the season was going. So a couple of weeks ago, I wrote about Arshavin just because.
Oh my God!
Luckily, it was it was the day of his first goal for Arsenal. So luckily, I'd seen it a couple of days before. I'd seen it, so I could prep a piece for that day about it. And tomorrow, I don't know when this is going out, so I don't want to date it or anything. But tomorrow, I've got quite. I wouldn't say a big in it. Well, the subject matter is big, but the interview itself is something that I've been holding for quite a while anyway. So I'm happy that I can finally kind of get out there. Yeah.
You gotta tease us. Without making it obvious, you gotta tease us, man. You gotta tease us. Make it as broad as possible.
It's not about a current player. But it's about a player that a lot of people will. My mum. That's a guy. That's my mum.
That's his mum. Hi, mummy. time.
Sorry. Chocolate cake.
No, it's fine.
Right.
It's fine. It's fine. Oh, my mum does that to me all the time, man.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So minor, man, you're at home. Everyone's at home. Everyone's got a mother. Everyone's got a sense of humor. We need sense of humor now, bro. But yeah, man, like, yeah, where was you?
Yeah, the interview stuff. So it's not about a current player, but it's about a player like a lot of people care about from South London, where I'm from. So it's something that I'm looking forward to releasing.
I can't wait to read that, my guy. Is it a video piece or is it just a written piece?
It's just written.
I'm still looking forward to that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. You know, it's fun. I didn't plan on asking you this, but you just, like you said, you started your role recently, and you know, for me, anyways, I know a lot of people like us aspiring to break into the industry and do things. And obviously, I'm not going to talk about your journey and all of these things, but it's like, how do you quantify it? Because it's almost, you've gone from a roller coaster. Like you're in Arsenal. You're writing for Arsenal. You're following the games. You know, it's a role you've wanted, and not because of people you work for or Arsenal. It's just literally circumstances has pulled it at a pause. So your emotions must have been up and down. Like, talk to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, it is the role that I was waiting for, because like even like when I had my like interview for it, like I had stuff from when I was like a kid that I'd written, like not like proper pieces, but like basically it's probably going too much into it, but like my grandma,
stay left and right.
My grandma used to be like an English teacher, so she would used to like have me and my brother like write. She would basically speak from the newspaper articles, and
you'd have to write
me and my brother would have to write them. So, and then even the kind of like shows I'd used to watch. I don't know if you know Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, of course, man. Come on.
Yeah, like even like he was like a sports writer, so I think it's always like been
subconsciously been gravitating towards you. It's been your calling of sorts. But
yeah,
I'm happy to see you excelling in that.
It just came a bit more like I understood that that's what I wanted to do over the last couple of years. So yeah, I'd say I didn't expect to be like an Arsenal writer like right now. No way did I expect that.
You've been preparing for it your whole life, man. Don't say that, man. These things don't choose you. You don't choose these things. They choose you, man. It was your calling.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy that I'm doing it. And like, I mean, at the start it was quite not scary, just a bit of a shock. In terms of, yeah, like with the whole Emery stuff, Xhaka stuff. That was like all within the first month of me starting.
Talk about hitting the ground running.
And like everything's just coming at you like bang, bang, bang. So that trying to find my feet during that time was kind of like I was able to do it. It was just a bit of a.
You didn't have the calling in period. It was you're straight thrown into the first team. You didn't get get the league appearances. You were like Arteta said, you're playing Premier League, almost like Saka or whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it's made you a better individual, man. It's made you stronger. It's made you, you know, in adversity or fast times, you either fold or stand up, and you stood up. But I've got to ask you, man. You said Emery, you said Xhaka. I'm not going to speak about the Xhaka stuff, or we might touch on players. Emery and Arteta. Let's start with Emery being at the front line, because obviously I go to games, but you're at every game. You're a media guy, so you're at the press conferences and whatnot. So you get more of a feel for him than me. Obviously, I know you believed in him because we've spoken about him, but like, how did you feel when he came? How did you feel watching his time here? When did you personally feel it was kind of time we're looking at doing something else? And yeah, man, and we'll get on to Arteta, but let's start with Emery.
Yeah, I think, well, personally anyway, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say what I thought at the time. And that was, on paper, I thought it was a great appointment because of his track record at Sevilla for winning the Europa League. So I thought that was like, if that was the main selling point for him coming in, I thought
He ticked the
Okay,
boxes.
he ticked all the boxes. The only thing is, looking back on it, is the man management side of things. I think his time at Arsenal kind of proved how much that matters,
In
other
today's
than
day.
just what you can do on a piece of paper.
Mm.
And so, in terms of me, it being like in and around that, so the first kind of press access I got was at the Emirates Cup, just gone. So luckily I was able to ask him a question there where I think I asked him about the youngsters and whether he thought it was like a good time for them.
Like they're ready and whatnot.
Yeah, and he was quite honest about that, to be honest. Like he was saying like this is their time and stuff like that, and he's been proven right with that, really. And that's one thing I'd give him. He wasn't scared to play the youngsters, which shouldn't be forgotten, I think, when people look back on his time.
Yeah.
But I think over time he just got quite confused, maybe is the word.
Like, I mean, you're being a bit nicer than me, but I definitely agree with that,
man. I mean, you could see it. Everyone could see it. Like different systems, different personnel. It just wasn't really clicking right. And I think from press kind of point of view, anyway, his messages were kind of getting a little muddled up, like how the Lucas Torreira stuff, how he was trying to play him a bit further forward. Everyone
cheese, man.
So
ridiculous.
Stuff like that. When that was going on, it was kind of clear that he kind of, how do you say it? He was just looking for a quick fix.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But yeah, I think when he went was the right time. Although looking back, actually, there was an international break before that where it probably would have been better.
Ideal, ample time to, you know, through the door sort of thing, of course.
Yeah. So I think, does that kind of sum everything up about Emery?
Yeah, man, that sums up Emery, man. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think, you know, he did give Saka his debut and things. That's the one thing we can give him. I personally, not to go over a dead horse and beat another stick, but for me, I'd just say in short, if Emery's looking back at his time, he probably didn't have real conviction in his own ideas. And if he did, potentially your counsel around you who really need to pull you aside and say, yo, you shouldn't do it this way, failed to do that. And I think with Arteta, regardless of how his time goes, for me personally, I wanted to basically just see, I can criticize you and praise you for whatever philosophy you're doing, but I need to see that. I didn't know what Emery was doing. It's 5 at the back, 3 at the back, talking about chameleon team. Arteta's got a long way to go, but I've got nothing but praise for him. I've got literally no criticisms for him. There's a clear way of what he wants to do. You know, he's got some players playing out of their skin that I don't necessarily believe in, but if he can do that with them, what could he do with some quality, quote unquote, addition? So Arteta, man, because I personally feel being at the game, there's a different sort of buzz around him. There's a different sort of demeanor. He's not necessarily like a Klopp running about, shouting. He does it when needed. But I think he definitely displays more confidence to the fans, to the collective players as well, and individually. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on Arteta, man?
I think with Arteta, it was clear what he wanted from the first game he took charge. That was Bournemouth away on Boxing Day. You could see like what he was trying to do, and you could see that at the start of Emery's reign. You could see that he wanted the team to press a bit more,
play out from the back and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's another thing I praise him for, playing out from the back. He installed that. I'll give him credit.
So you could see that at the start with Emery, but I think the first kind of fear was whether Arteta would continue with that, and that's something he has continued with. And what's been, I think, even more impressive for me anyway, is the structures he's put in place for Saka to shine, Saka to shine.
Always a tug twister.
Yeah, and Aubameyang to shine down that left. I think that's been a real area of strength for his Arsenal. And I think Pablo Mari coming in would have been really good for that.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from him. He's not had many minutes, but you can only play what's in front of you. He's looked like he's a competent individual.
Yeah, and even David Luiz looked good, looked great, great at the left side of the defense, and I think he could probably try and replicate that on the right side. But what was I trying to say? Sorry.
No, it's cool, man. It's a lot, man. I'd get praise about Arteta as well, man. He's finally made us smile again, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. How he carries himself as well. That he's a cool guy. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
He seems quite like when you're like in the press conference, you feel like you can not ask him like anything.
But there's an openness.
Not like thing. Yeah. You can ask him a question and he will answer it honestly as he can.
Yeah.
So like and I think another thing is there's kind of no stupid questions, if that makes sense, because I think just when like all the deadline day madness was going on, I asked him whether he'd switch Luiz to the right-hand side with Murray coming in. And he just straight up not straight up said, but he did basically say that Murray's coming in to balance everything up. Which you can if you can read between the lines, you know what he means. And also he's willing to talk about the young players as well. Like oftentimes I find like sometimes when other people are focusing on like the bigger stories, like maybe Aubameyang's contract, that might be a good time for me to just ask a quick question about like John Jules or Smith Rowe or something like that.
JFC. But yeah.
But like, because especially because of who I'm writing for as well, I know that it's going straight to Arsenal fans so they will care about everything at the club really. So there's always going to be a thirst for that knowledge about players that
the next one up. Speaking on that, sorry to cut you off.
It's cool.
I did want to press you on this, but people like I said, people watch us and we aspire in things. This guy put in a lot of work, people. I was at under 23s and 18s. You think I was doing that? This guy was everywhere. This guy was doing Arsenal women's, done a lot of stuff, people. Not just Arsenal, he's done a couple other bits and bobs. But continue, man. I got a lot of admiration for your grind, man. Can continue, my guy.
Thanks. Yeah. I'd say, if we go down that route, I think like a lot of that stuff is probably why I've been able to get to this position so quickly anyway, as well. Because like, obviously, like probably not a lot of people would have heard of me before I got the role. But like you said, I was doing the Arsenal women's, the Arsenal under 23s because I knew that's if I was wanting to get into the job, that's what I would have to do anyway. So why not just start doing that? Yeah. So it is. I would like to do that more. Like as much as I was doing it, but obviously because of the first team, that kind of has to come first. But that definitely was those experiences anyway were definitely beneficial, and like it's not just football as well. Like you can do other sports because I was like while I was at uni, I was covering women's rugby team, and even doing that, you get kind of transferable skills, if that makes sense. So like even just interviewing the manager after or the coach, as they call it, the coach in rugby. So even just interviewing him after games and stuff, that you can translate those skills to football really. So yeah, I think that's something, if like people like us who are aspiring to get into it, I'd say don't shy away from doing
the hard grind.
Yeah. and it pays. Well, it's paid off for me anyway, but it should pay off for anyone that does it, because people will recognize the hard work as well.
Yeah. There's no escaping the hard work. There's no escaping the cold hard facts. I assume, obviously, when you went into your interview, you obviously had the knowledge. You went to uni, but you had Arsenal, and you also had other stuff, so they could see it's a passion for journalism. But back to your passion for journalism or Arsenal. If I had to say to you, most improved player you want to see a bit more from, and player you kind of, I don't want to get you in trouble with this, but player you're kind of
Yeah.
looking at as a bit funny.
Yeah.
Like you probably get out the door.
Okay, most improved. I'll start with that.
Or if you want
to
if you've got more than a couple, feel free to say all the names or in all the thoughts you've got, man.
I'd say Granit Xhaka's definitely up there.
For sure.
Has to be. He's been unreal since Arteta's come in. And I think the way, actually, that's another thing with the man management stuff. How Arteta dealt with that situation was great. He did it quickly. And even when he dropped him for the Chelsea game at home, people were kind of trying to make a lot more of that than it was at the time. And it didn't really feel like a big thing after it happened. He was straight back in the team the next game. And since then, he's been one of the best players for Arsenal this season, I think.
Yeah.
Other players, I'm trying to think, because there's so many, especially in like the second half of the season.
Feel free to say any. You're not shackled, man. This is your free role to say all your thoughts, man. This is what the fans want to hear. They want to hear your thoughts. They're tired of my voice, my guy.
One player that might fit into two categories is Mustafi, because he's been supreme since.
Almost sounds crazy to say it, yeah, man. Yeah. Credit to him.
But, I mean, the thing with him, I think he was kind of treated a bit unfairly anyway, in my opinion, for the whole season, because he has been, like, when he was in the cup teams under Emery, he was actually performing quite well.
Yeah, he's not terrible. He just got there.
So I think he's been quite consistent throughout the course of the season as a whole. It's just those mistakes when they come, they're at the worst time.
They're big. Do you know what? Speaking of that, though, sorry to cut you off. I'd say what I like about him is you got me thinking of it really with the man management thing. It's like Mustafi now. Fair enough, he's playing well, and that's one thing. But you've previously seen Mustafi, and it's more for him. He's made one mistake, and then he'll start making another 10. He kind of like against Chelsea, and maybe less so against Liverpool in the cup, but he reacted fairly well to it. And it's on one hand, of course, the damage is already done, and Mustafi is Mustafi. But I praise him for that. But what was you saying?
So he has been like fairly consistent over the course of the season, and especially good like in the last few weeks before the break came in. But you've got to kind of realize he enters his last year of contract in the summer as well. So it's like, what's best for Arsenal really when it comes to, okay, he's doing well, but at the moment there's 6, like including him, there's 6 centre-backs in the first team, and that's not even including Saliba or Mavropanos. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? So I think like in those like Q&As that you mentioned, people kind of ask, like, what would I do in that situation if I was head coach? And the way I've kind of like seen it out in my head is both Mustafi and Socrates, because they reached their last year of contract in the summer, they have to be dealt with, whether that's selling them or renewing their contracts, because that's an issue that Arsenal's had for years now. Players getting into their last years of contract, and it's something that just, although it will still happen at clubs up and down the country, like it's not something that should be happening to a whole host of players.
Frequently as well.
Yeah. So those two need to be sorted out. Callum Chambers, like, well, when he got injured, I was just I didn't know what to do with myself, man.
I like him, man.
Yeah, I think like up until that point, he was the best performing defender,
playing wise. Yeah.
Like, so I was just like gutted when he got injured because, like, it's been a long kind of
journey
process with
club, man. Yeah, of course, and he was finally getting some first team, running the team, and looking like that guy.
Yeah, so I'm hoping his recovery goes well, but obviously, like we've seen with Bellerin and Holding, that knee injury is going to take a while to recover from. With Holding as well, I'd say obviously keep him.
I'm going to have to press you a bit on Holding. Finish what you're saying, but I'm going to press you on Holding a bit.
Well, no problem. No problem. I'd say keep him, but not as a first choice for next season. Just kind of edge him back in. And then the first choice for me next season would be David Luiz and Pablo Mari. And then let Saliba fight for his place.
Learn and whatnot.
He can't just get it because of what he's done at San Etienne, which I know a lot of fans would probably say, oh yeah, give him the starting place straight away. But if you actually watch him play, he's still got a lot of learning to do.
And he will learn some harsh lessons in this league. As good as he will learn.
Because, I was watching him like the other week, and so the ball's come in from across, and he's kind of felt like a tap on his shoulder or something.
Bordeaux, yeah.
He felt a tap on his shoulder, and he stopped. And
he stopped, and by then it's too late.
And then they've scored. It's like you can't do that in League One. You can't do that in Serie A or any league. You can't do that in Sunday League. Like, so people who haven't been watching him, they're gonna soon realize he's not what people are making him up to be. Yes, he's a good defender, but you're gonna have to be patient with him.
Do you think that's a problem though? Because for me, I agree with your thoughts. You just said you've watched him, and for me, looking at him, I'm impressed with him. On one hand, I disagree and agree with you. I think he's got to learn harsh lessons. So I would probably play him in the first team. Recognize, obviously, if he's playing poorly, he comes out. But you look at the strikers, there's many quality strikers and street smart strikers. He's going to learn harsh lessons and have a terrible game. But if people were really watching him, there was a game in particular, Mets. I don't know if you saw it. He played against a striker, Diallo, 24 years of age. Liga, he's fairly...
Was that when he conceded the penalty? Or
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on the penalty. No, I think that was in the Coupe de la France in the semi-finals.
Oh, yeah.
Game, bro, he got terrorized. Outpaced, outfought, outstrengthed. And yeah, man, he's got harsh lessons to learn. But do you think it's a problem, not just of Saliba, because I've seen it with Nelson, Emil, especially with social media, fans can see 30-second clips on YouTube. They get so gassed, like in Saliba. Everyone can see him. He's gracious. He's got the passing, described as a footballing nerd, Arsenal fan. What is he, 6'4", just turned 19. He's got everything, but it's like all these things I'm saying. I'm seeing that when he's 26, 27. That's not necessarily going to be him at 19 sort of thing. Do you think that's an issue? Because I think Nelson played with that as well. I think Saka and Martinelli will go through that because right now they're in the honeymoon periods. So yeah, man.
I think it's definitely an issue. Like people get a bit overexcited. I think he could be a starting player next season. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't.
You're not against that. You just you agree with what we both agree with what we're both saying about he needs time and
because in that Coupe de France game, the semi-final, he was not the direct reason they got through, but both of their goals, he played crucial passes.
Quite the part in them goals, quite the part.
So, there's definitely upsides to having him, but he's gonna have to go through those harsh lessons, as you say, and it's just I'm not sure whether he will have no one will know apart from himself whether how well he'd be able to deal with the
mistakes,
constant like criticism he's probably going to get at times on social media. So I'm not against him starting, but I'm just kind of wary of him being thrown straight in there. So yeah.
All right, cool. I got to press you on the centre halves because I almost forgot to mention it. Now, I'm more saying this as a fellow member of Rob Holding FC. Like, I need someone else to speak to, sort of thing. I'm conflicted, bro, because on one hand, on my left-hand side, he's Rob Holding. He bullied Diego Costa. I think he's very naive as a defender, but he's a good defender. Even before his injury, he's shown it. I look on my other hand now, though, bro, and I see someone, obviously, when he came to the club, he was young, so he weren't going to be first team like that. I don't think he's made 100 appearances for this club. When he does play, at times he's a bit naive. When I disregard the injuries and things, and I look at him, has he developed enough? Because he still plays. And for me, I've been saying this in all my vids since he's came. Naivety. He needs to kind of get it out. And I look at our defence, bro, and with the exception of Saliba and David Luiz's form, but there's not really, if we were to disregard form, there's not really a straight-out contender that really should be the glaring player. And I don't think Holding should be that, but he's not that. And I see it. We bought him for 2 million, correct me if I'm wrong. He's English. You might get a 15, 20 on him. Yeah, there's a scope for development and things. But could he be sold to raise funds? Is he going to go out on loan? Callum Chambers, I believe in Chambers, of course. But what do we do with him? So, like, I guess, what's your feelings on Holding? What would you do? And looking at our centre-half things, what would you do? Because for me, in an ideal world, I can't lie, I want another centre-half. You greatly put it, there's about 6, 7 on the books. If I bring in one, my maths is poor, but that's about 8. Someone has to go. We hear Luis is going to sign a new deal and his form kind of warrants it. He's going to seem to be the guy Arteta's leaning to. And you've got Marie. I agree with what you said about Mustafi. You know, the cynic in me believes there's no better time to sell him. Socrates too. But what would you specifically do with Holding? What's your specific thoughts on Holding? And collectively our defence? Because I guess there's a case of, or I'm not saying you or I are saying this, but to play devil's advocate, there's an old saying of quality over quantity. Have we got quantity but not enough quality? Is there a sort of stockpiling, I guess?
Yeah, so I'll start with Holding. I'd say my personal thoughts are keep him because he, like, when he is playing well, he is a quality defender. People forget that last season, Emery's first season, he didn't lose a game that he played in.
So I didn't even know that. Bro.
Like, you can check it now, like, or whenever you want. He didn't lose a single game that he played in, and that, even though that was like the first half of the season, where Arsenal were on the unbeaten run, when people thought they had their Arsenal back.
It was back. It was
but yeah, like you can't kind of hide from the fact that he was key to that unbeaten run. Yeah. But that being said, you still see, like, even in the under 23s games, where he has been quite.
Trouble if I speak. Go on. Big trouble if I speak.
Where he's been a bit of a, I won't say a liability. He's just been a bit rusty, I think.
Yeah.
Where he chooses the wrong moment to step out, or he chooses the wrong moment to try and make that pass into the middle of the pitch, and then he's caught running back to his own goal. So I think with him, it's all about rhythm, just rhythm. And I think whether so if the season gets back underway,
if we ever see a return to that,
whenever the season gets back underway, I don't see him coming straight back in. I think, for me anyway, this isn't me trying to like play him down or anything. I just think because of the injury that he got, it's going to take a while for him to get back to his best, and maybe 6 months to a year until we see the best of him again.
Would you loan him out?
That maybe first half of next season.
Because he's never really, because he's never really got like a. He's had runs of games like purple patches, and prior to his injury at United, but he's never been like for me anyways, since he's never been, I guess, as much as I wanted to play, I don't think managers have looked at him as a genuine, like your starting first team. Like his injury, we're obviously seeing him and Bellerin just how much it takes out of you. But sometimes he hasn't even been on the bench. So is there something he's not seen?
Yeah.
Could he potentially go somewhere you're going to play? Obviously can't play too much because of his knee. We've got to do what we need to do with that. And then probably come back a better player. I think he's contracted until 2023. But yeah, man, like I fully agree with what you're saying about holding him. Go on.
Yeah, I think a loan could work well. And I think the way Arsenal are moving, like with loans, especially like past January, has been quite smart. Whether they do that like with a senior player like he is, how they've been doing with the youngsters, I'm not sure because I'm not in those conversations, so I won't know. But from my perspective, I think a loan could work well for him, just to get that rhythm back, and then see what he can do once he's back. I think across the board, he'd probably be like take out form and everything. He'd probably be top 3 centre backs at the club at the moment, in my view.
Obviously excluding Saliba right now because he's not here.
Yeah. Just who's at the club now. So there's definitely reason to keep him. And although it is quite disheartening that his injury has taken so much out of him, in terms of how much of a risk it was to bring him, there was hardly any risk
to bring him from
Bolton. So why not just try and give him the chance to shine properly?
Yeah, because we're going to make a profit anyways. You have to try really hard not to make, even by our standards, not to make some money on a player.
Ridiculous. And I think I haven't had a proper conversation with him or anything, but from what I've seen, he knows himself quite well, and I think that's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing when you're self-aware.
Yeah, I think even the way he last summer, him and Jordan Nobbs, who plays for the women's team, they had the same injury and they were kind of coming through that recovery together. That probably helped him a lot as well. And I think in Pablo Mari's first game for the under-23s, I think against Chelsea.
Yeah.
He was playing next to him. They both came off at half time, and then so the press box at Borough was quite right next to where the players and that sit when they come off sometimes.
Yeah.
And he saw me typing my stuff, and he just kind of jokingly said, "Oh, Rob Holding was rubbish today." Just kind of taking the mick out of himself. Someone that can laugh at themselves is quite important as well. I think he won't get too down, I don't think. So I don't see any reason to just flog him off. I'd say keep him, and he's already proven that he can be an Arsenal.
No, he's definitely proven, that he's a decent centre half. It's just a case of can he get back to that level when he gets back to that level. And I feel myself being harsh, like you, I share your love for youth players, but I find it battling with myself because by all means, I want all these young players to play and players to be given chances. But then I think, am I being too nice? Because I feel as an Arsenal fan, we love projects. We've been here with youth players. We've been here with Alexis, Santi and Ozil in no particular order, season in on season. We've now got the Martinellis and Sakas. And as much as I love these young players, and my first thing is they have to stay here and make it, the cynic in me looks at it and says, if you're not Saka and Martinelli, it's looking a bit different because fair enough, not every player develops at the same rate. But he's hit the ground running. Martinelli came out the side towards the end, but he hit the ground running. Saka, the ground running. I love Reece Nelson, but it's been a bit of a shaky one. Emil's had to go out on loan. Joe's a bit indifferent for me. As much as I like him, he's a bit indifferent. But generally, I look at them and I think, can we make some money on these players? They are going to hit potential. But when you look at Maitland-Niles, the right-back spot could have been there for the taking from him. I don't want to kick a man while they're down or say things that we don't know are facts. But Arteta kind of came out publicly and said, he's kind of not training to the level. And I hear that you don't want to be a right back. You've got Saka, who's a couple of years younger than you, just doing it. The game time, if you didn't accept right back, would you be a Premier League footballer? So I have to wonder. The big one for me is Callum Chambers, because I think we should keep him. But is it going to be a thing like Holding where he's off the pace and things like that? So who would you keep? And we keep forgetting about Mavropanos. Like, everyone's still, excluding Saliba, what centre-halves would you keep? And yeah, man, like, who would you keep? Who would you look to get rid of? If you had to keep, let's say, 4 or 5, like 4 because that's good depth, fifth if you could, like, yeah.
So my 5 first choice centre backs at the moment would be Luiz, Mari, Saliba, and then Holding and Chambers. Okay. So Socrates, Mustafi. I'd say loan Mavropanos out again. I think.
Yeah, he's not ready.
I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, I don't think we should sell him yet.
Yeah, I think that thing about just social media again, because like people got really excited about like a goal line clearance he made for Nuremberg, and that kind of just glossed over a terrible debut that he had. And even though
yeah, didn't he get sent off?
Even though, I can't remember exactly, but he didn't play.
He either got sent off or conceded the penalty. Something happened. One of the two.
And he responded really well, but because of that goal line clearance that went viral, everyone forgets about the debut where he didn't play that well, and it's just about finding the balance,
level-headedness. Yeah, man. Like that's what I don't want to say it's just Arsenal fans. I think that's a football thing because I saw it not to criticize Chelsea fans. I've seen it with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Oh, we can't let him go. He needs to get a new deal. He deserves that money. He played. I can't remember. I think he started against Liverpool. He's a young player. He's not going to have the best of games all the time. Oh, why did we give it him this, that, and the other? I do think fans are warranted in a lot of their claims with players. But I do think there is no pleasing people. And like you kind of alluded to it with Holding, he kind of can take the mick out of himself and stuff. And it's about, at the end of the day, you know, you've got to perform for the fans, but you've got to be balanced, man. And it's like, yeah. What have you seen from Pepe? Let's talk about Pepe. I can't ask you about Nicolas Pepe.
Okay, so I've been impressed in glimpses, not fully. But like when I try and think about it, because obviously if a player's not doing well, everyone's just going to kind of clown him, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. But when I look at it, I think what could be going wrong, and then I look around him, and that right back position behind him has never been. It's been trouble.
It's not there. There's no relationship.
So unlike how Aubameyang's been able to shine off the left, on the right, he's kind of had to do it all by himself. If you're asking anyone to do that in their first season in the Premier League, it's going to be difficult. So I think a lot of the criticism has been a bit maybe unfair, but people haven't looked at the whole picture, I don't think, when they go and criticize him. That being said, there have been times where he has disappointed, where he has been a bit too predictable. I think Olympiacos, oh my God. I can't remember if it's in extra time or just in the second half, but there was that moment where he just kept going twisting, like a Beyblade.
Bobbing and weaving, fating and
just get the ball in with the right foot. Like, that's all that was needed at that time. And it's like he just couldn't do it. And I know it's probably nerves and stuff like that, but those are the moments where you look to players to just get the job done.
Get the job done, yeah.
And he didn't do it. So I wouldn't say the season as a whole has been disappointing or a write-off by any chance. He's still impressed for the most part, but there's definitely stuff to work on. And I think an interesting thing that Arteta said a couple of weeks ago was that he tries to make, sometimes in like training, he tries to make Pepe defend him. So Arteta would be the winger and Pepe would defend him, just to
defend it,
kind of get an idea of what it's like. So I think that if that happened a lot more, I think we might have seen a more unpredictable Pepe. But
yeah. You said a point there. Like I'm sure the fans know my opinions on Pepe already. You said left hand side, and I agree with you. But I always like to pose this question. I mean, Kolasinac is out of the side, but when he's there, frequently when we're chasing a goal, he was someone to either assist or do something. Whether we like it or not, you've got Aubameyang on the flanks. You've got Martinelli. You've now got Bukayo Saka. Previously, dribs and drabs, you've had Tierney. We know we're left-hand centric, we're very left-hand centric. But why is it that I've just said a bag of different players and combinations, but on the right-hand side, it's not the same? Excluding when obviously Mustafi or Socrates has had to fill in there. Why are we? We don't really have nothing down the right-hand side. Now we've scored goals down there and looked to threat, but consistently, we're not an issue down there. What do you feel is if you can put a thing on it, the primary reason for that and whatnot?
I think public enemy number one for Arsenal's right side is the right back position. Like that is the area that causes the most problems. And I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the player to play in that role. I think since Arteta's come in, he's been the best right back at doing what Arteta wants a right back to do. If that makes sense. So he's been tucking in well and creating those other angles for players to kind of hit on the passes. So Luiz at centre-back and whoever is in midfield. And then, like, out of possession, he also kind of, when he's tucking in, he acts almost like another defensive midfielder. So if someone gets past Torreira, he can just quickly nip in and get the ball. And he's technical enough to kind of survive in those tight areas as well. And then going forward, when he's in those like more central positions, left backs aren't going to be ready for his runs coming from the inside rather than the outside. So I think, he's been without a doubt the best right back under Arteta. It's just whether he wants to be that right back in the future.
It's about you've got an opportunity, go and take that.
But alongside that, I think the fact that Xhaka drops in on the left helps a lot more. Like, you had Torreira on the right, he's not the guy to play those passes. Ceballos has stepped up after the winter break, but again, he's not the midfielder that Xhaka is. He wants to get on the ball and drive a bit more, even though he can play those passes. Yeah, he moves around much more, whereas Xhaka stays in that kind of
station
quarterback.
Quarterback's the best way. Halfback, gets protected. He protects. That's one thing I'd say about Arteta. Sorry to cut you off. I see a very big understanding with Xhaka and Saka, but also David Luiz to the trio, in particular Saka, because I only really started to notice it when Arteta took over, but David Luiz is forever talking to Saka. And obviously players speak on the field, but I do believe footballers need to sort it out themselves. You need to promote active thinkers. The manager can obviously tell you why you should drop back, but I didn't think we had active thinkers, and I like that, man. And so I'm happy you mentioned Xhaka, because he's another one that, listen, he's not everyone's cup of tea. He's potentially not the sort of midfield we want, but he is a decent player. He isn't as bad as people think he wants. I don't want to say when he's missing, you see it, because it's always the player that's not involved that we scream should be there, but you do miss a bit of something with Xhaka. And in relation to Arteta, obviously time will tell if it stays, but it's like Xhaka is not getting in positions where it's glaringly obvious of his lack of agility, his lack of mobility. He's not really caught high up the field anymore and stuff. You still see obvious things, but that's one thing I liked about Arteta, man. But yeah, man, what was you saying?
I think with that Xhaka stuff as well, like when he was playing under Emery this season anyway, he was the one holding midfielder. So it's just going to be easy for whoever's like running at him, because as we all know, he's not the most agile, and getting past him on the break is kind of the best way to get past him.
Yeah,
but he's been protected a lot more under Arteta. That kind of role that he's been doing has then allowed Saka to bomb on more. It then, with him pulling out to the left, pulls out a midfielder to create the space for David Luiz to go forward. And whether he wants to pass it out to Saka or straight through the middle, he can do that. So that's why I think Arsenal have been so good down the left. They just don't have the player that can do that on the right, I don't think. But that being said, I really do like how Ceballos has played recently, because obviously everyone knows how good Torreira is, but if we're being honest, Ceballos is probably a better option for a complete midfield, I think. Because that people probably won't agree with that.
I'm a big Torreira fan. Do you know what with me? I think Torreira's got to be in the team, but I fully get if Torreira was fit, well, put it this way, he had no complaints with being out the team because I wanted problems. Yeah. I did feel we rely too much on Torreira. He's had some great games, maybe more so last season, but you saw evident drop-offs in performance and quality because he's relatively young. He's played a crap load of games for the first time in his career. And I just don't think unless you're Lionel Messi or Cesc Fabregas, Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't know why I'm thinking of Cesc, watching too many vids. I don't think you should be relying on people like that, with the exception of Aubameyang, because he's a quality player. You're obviously going to miss him. I do want to see midfield options, and like you said, Ceballos has been playing quality, so Torreira can, for me, have no complaints. I needed these problems, even at centre half. Even though we're saying Socrates probably needs to be one of them who goes. Even when he lost his space, it was kind of unfortunate because he got injured and he just didn't regain it. Mustafi's been playing well. Obviously, Luiz is probably the poster boy for Arteta's new look defense of sorts. And yeah, man. Best and worst performers this season from you. If you had to pick, say two. You can say one name, but if you've got two of each.
I can do two for best.
Go on.
And that's Leno.
It's your floor, man. Praise and critique these players you want to critique, man.
Leno and Aubameyang as the best. But that being said, they are the reason Arsenal aren't in the Europa League anymore. And that has to be understood by people.
As sad as it is, man. I don't want to get out. I'm not getting out of Aubameyang because he can't always be there. It was a bad miss.
I know
Leno should have saved that.
Yeah. No, but even before the goal, he was just dilly-dallying on the ball.
Yeah.
And then conceded the corner that resulted in the goal.
Exactly.
So people won't want to criticize, but they have to understand that those two are the reason that Arsenal.
You have to call a spade. Yeah. Yeah.
So
based on the second leg, you're fully right. Yeah.
Worst. I'm trying to think. Because I don't really think anyone's been bad this season, really.
Well, everyone was bad when everyone was bad, but I fully get yeah. Do you know what? There is, Go
on.
Like I said, I can't lie to you, bro. I can't lie. Do you know what? On his own standards, because he went from whether rightly or wrongly, player of the season last year. He's still one of my favorite. But right now, considering you've got one more year on your deal where you are, and the fact that for me, you've shown you're not able to score 20 league goals. This is probably the biggest period in Lacazette's career as an Arsenal player, that if you was to sell him, I'm like, it's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the world. And I've always said that about Lacazette. Lacazette's a quality player, but I've always asked questions because I'd say he's a quality player, but he doesn't score consistently. He goes through runs. Listen, I don't know why he's mad consistent at home, very toothless away. I don't know, and I think he just got to call a spade a spade. I think Arteta, at times, that's one criticism. I felt at times Lacazette was probably forced into the side when people, in particular Martinelli, had to be left out. And I think he's more of a liability is harsh because I still think he's a good player and we can move forward with him. But considering his contract, his form, I don't want to say he's been the worst player because I don't think everyone's been up here. Lacazette's been poor. But I'm looking at potentially Lacazette, not necessarily worse, but not poor seasons. Let's call a spade a spade. Potentially Lacazette.
Well, let's say room for improvement.
Huh?
Room for improvement, we'll say.
Yeah. You know what? We'll say not bad, room for improvement. Definitely Lacazette if you're here.
Lacazette is definitely in there. I'd say the reason he didn't like pop straight into my head is because, I do like him a lot. Like,
he's a lover boy. It's Lacazette, man. Like, it's Lacazette.
People kind of forgot what he brought to the side.
Yeah.
And I think so. Another thing, people made a joke about what he brought to the side as well. His hold-up play. Yeah. I won't mention the jokes that were made about that.
There's been some funny ones. Like, I love you, but there's been some funny stuff. There's some funny ones flying.
I think, he's definitely one to improve. But I think what people might forget is the injuries that he's had and the impact those
even
injuries.
At the start.
Because he got injured against Lyon in the Emirates Cup, ankle injury, and that halted his season first. Then he got injured. I think he aggravated it against Tottenham a couple of weeks into the season, and then after that, he was kind of forced straight back in by Emery. And it's like, when is he going to recover? Like what? And then what can you really expect from a player that's
just not fully fit? Call it that. He's just not fit. He's clearly playing with pain. Yeah. I think that's the one thing I have sympathy for. It's like Bellerin. And I guess Arteta, at the end of the day, if he wants to play him, he wants to play him, but potentially take him out of the firing line, because we're hearing his hamstrings tight or he's playing with a knock. And fans, we're not seeing, until they say that, we're just seeing someone who you're in the lineup, so you must be fit of some sorts to play, and you're not putting in the shift and the performance. Personally, I love Bellerin, but it's a bit like Lacazette. There's a couple of I'm tired of projects and holding people's hands now. And I'm looking at Bellerin, if we call a spade, was there not an offer of 50 million a couple of years ago? We look a bit silly in that regards. I look at him, I look at Lacazette, because for me anyways, and we're going off topic, but F it anyways, there's still so much uncertainty over these contracts, man. 2021, we know why, but you've got, probably, you see how you said Leno and Aubameyang? I hear with it Leno, but I would remove Leno for Saka, personally. So you got Saka and Aubameyang, right? 2021. You've got a couple other players. 2022, you've got Lacazette and Kolasinac. Are they going to be first team? And because of their outlay. You've obviously got Mkhitaryan and Ozil before that. So how can we really bring in players and make major surgery with all this uncertainty? We've spoken about centre-halves as well. We don't need to get into that. But there's too much uncertainty for me, bro, to really do major surgeries. Like, what would you do with the strikers?
Strikers. The thing is, with Aubameyang, I like him off the left. I really do.
Yeah, there's no denying he's actually decent out there, even though I want him in the middle. He's very lethal out there.
With him out there, defenders will forget he's out there. So he's going to be more harmful when you forget he's there. He's going to hurt you. That's what I like about him out there. And the thing about him there is now 4 Arsenal managers have trusted him out there. Wenger, Emery, Ljungberg, and Arteta. They can't all be
wrong. There's got to be some method to the madness, yeah.
And they've put him out there when Lacazette hasn't been in the team as well. So there's an obvious reason for him to be out there. Obviously, he would be a threat through the middle, but you've got to kind of look at the cards you dealt with. How can you get the best out of this team in the most balanced way possible? Of course, the team is still really imbalanced, but in that sense, I like Aubameyang off the left. Then with Lacazette, or actually no, stay on Aubameyang for a second. Sorry, I'd say ideal scenario would be sort out his contract how he likes it, keep him for another couple of years, and then move him on. If you can't sort out his contract this summer, then you might have to let him go this summer, because you don't want to let someone like that go on a free transfer. You've seen what happened with Aaron Ramsey. You don't want a repeat of that. So although it's far from ideal to let him go this summer, it might be the best thing for Arsenal. I know that sounds so weird.
Yeah, get some money better than none.
Yeah, just get something while you can. Lacazette, I'd probably say, even though he's got a year extra over Aubameyang, he'd be probably in in a very similar boat, as with that injury and his age, you could make a very good case for letting him go and trying to find a balance in the front three if Arteta continues with the front three. I guess it wouldn't be nice, but you'd have to get on with it, really. I think, and with that, I really like Eddie. I think since he's come back, he's improved a lot with his play back to goal.
Back to goal, I think, for sure. Actually winning headers. Actually, yeah, man, he does. Because many people forget this, and especially with someone like Eddie, it's nothing to do with him. It's like people see a striker, mad prolific at youth level, or just prolific in general. We know for me, he's a poacher sort of striker. He can score all sorts of goals. His movement is good, but it's about what especially as you're in the first team, what you're doing without the ball. And I think, again, I don't know this for true. Obviously, a bit of it was learned at Arsenal, but I think with the Leeds spell, he looks a bit different. He looks hungry. He's moving differently. He's affecting the game more positively when he's not playing. Now, saying that, I can't remember because there was a period we played Newcastle and Everton quite quickly. There was one game he scored and he played quite well. There was another he didn't play so well, and I think Lacazette came on and scored. So he's still learning. But even that's the contract, bro. He's 2022. Surely he'll sign a new deal, especially because of his new elevation.
For me, he's a must extend. And yeah, I think the game he didn't play too well was Newcastle.
Yeah, it was one of them games.
He hit the crossbar in that game as well. And then he scored against Everton.
Yeah, it was in that order, yeah.
That finish is actually so underrated.
Yeah.
Because when that ball was coming in, he's actually directed that like far corner and directed it perfectly.
On resource finish, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
Fully.
So he's a must extend. Whether Arsenal can rely on him for a whole season, we don't know.
Nah, I don't think we can. He's too big on his shoulders. I think he can complement the side well. But that's where it's a difficult one for me, bro. Especially with Aubameyang, because, sell him is the first thing. Try and get some money. Try and break even. Ideal world, he renews it. I don't agree with this, but Wenger was my guy, and I can kind of understand letting people leave for free, because if it's a thing where, and I stress where, if we're going to do this properly, you sort out the incomings, the outgoings, you address the spine of this side properly with the centre mids and centre halves and whatever Arteta and they want to do, and you get rid of who you need to. If it's a thing where you've done all of that and you're just going to use Aubameyang for a year and say, you know what, we're going to use him, we're going to find another striker within this year, you need him to get top 4, you need to get it or this means nothing. But then I'd say fair enough, go and do your thing. He might even want to stay for a year. That's because of what Aubameyang can give us. If it was just on the contract, of course he goes. I look at Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah, and if Aubameyang was to leave tomorrow, let's just say Aubameyang's gone. I like Eddie Nketiah, but it's unfair to place that on his shoulders to expect 20 league goals minimum. Lacazette, I love him.
When I was saying rely on him for a season, I wasn't.
No. I'm saying in general. Like for now, he's a decent rotation option. He's not. You're not gonna play and give me Harry Kane numbers. I want to see Eddie right now. If he can give me 10 in the league, perfect. But if he can give me double figures in all comps in his sort of role he's playing right now, then fair enough. If he continues to get extended first team starts like he's done to defeat Lacazette for that place, then we'll review it. But it's more Lacazette for me because Eddie's learning. I don't really believe Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah is enough to get us over the line, because Lord knows where we'd be without Aubameyang's goals. And it's a thing where, you'd hope Pepe would deliver us double figures in all comps and kind of take on that responsibility. I don't want to place nothing on Martinelli's hands, but even him try and chip in. But other than that, I'm kind of reaching, in my opinion. I think there's it's difficult, but I do think there's something to be had when you've got an Aubameyang and Alexis Sanchez before he did latter stages of his career. It's a different sort of aura in the team. Like when you've got a player that is making the difference. And not even that, I don't know what it is with Lacazette. I'm not convinced. He'll score important goals. He'll get us 3 points. But for me, every team in an ideal world needs a 20 league goal minimum striker. And for me, there's only so good you can be without that. Like, I love Firmino, and he doesn't necessarily play as a striker all the time. But if he was at Arsenal, there would be more highlight on his lack of goals or his lack of ratio in that. And it's not a criticism of him, and it's nothing against him. I just feel his role is different, and that's how Lacazette. Go on.
Yeah, I think with that being said, when you said Martinelli, I just remembered somehow he just dropped out of my head for some reason. But he can do that Aubameyang role. He's proved that he can do that Aubameyang role off the left. The way he drifts in off the left is actually so unreal. Man. Like his timing and his selection of run into the box off that wing.
It's so cerebral.
Yeah.
It's so callous and cold, and it's lovely to watch. So, I don't even think he's going to be here long, bro. I think he's got 3-4 years, if that. I genuinely believe he's going to be a world-class player. Hopefully, he doesn't prove me wrong. And with that, as we've seen as Arsenal fans, you've got the two big boys in Spain circling. In fact, you saw him previously years ago. He's been at Barcelona on trial. So I'm sure eventually they're going to circle for him, man. But yeah, to wrap this up, if the season ever gets back, do you think we can get top 4? First question.
I'd say top 5.
Assuming the City thing goes for us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. City stuff, top 5. I would say top. Well, actually, let me just double check the table quickly. I haven't seen it in a few weeks.
I'm dead.
Here we are. Oh, that's pretty.
What's it saying? Let's see whose is quicker. My Safari stopped loading. Check.
There we go. Here we go. Got it.
You got it?
Yeah. So Arsenal on 9th.
Myth.
On 40 points. And Chelsea are... Chelsea are 4th on 48 points. So, I mean, mathematically, yes, you could do it, but with all the teams in between as well, like Sheffield United and Wolves and Man United, I'd say 4th might be too far.
Too big of a job for us, basically.
Yeah, I think that would just take an unreal effort. But I think 5th, which is 5 points away, that would probably be a lot more manageable. And with the form, obviously it's going to change now because the momentum's been stopped. But with the form that Arsenal were hitting, the way they were able to turn draws into wins, I think they would have been on a good pace,
sort of thing,
to try and challenge for that anyway for the last part of the season. But we'll see what happens with that.
Calm, man. What can I say, man? I've appreciated my time with you. Thank you for giving you my time, my bro. Thank you for letting the fans know. Let the fans, for who doesn't know, once again, your name, your socials, let them know, man.
So name Art the
man. Too humble. He doesn't like to plug himself.
Yeah. My Twitter is Art the Roche as well. So that's ARTDEROCHE. And yeah,
everything will be in the description. His socials. Will be in the I'm saying your socials will be in the description. Okay. Don't worry about none of that, man. So yeah, thank you for having me, bro. We're gonna do this again, hopefully, if there's something more to speak about, or we'll be back again. People in the comments, let us know what you think and what not. My guy, love for having me, man.